Hello YouTube, 30 Sigma here. In this video I'm actually going to be doing a review for once. Now, it's not actually like it's like more like something CinemaSins would do. Instead of doing a normal review, I'm going to be going through the video and I'll be stopping at points where I'll explain something I find. Now, this is of course a review of Second Empire, a series written by Mechmaster and produced by Darkravenproductions. So, I think it's time we started now. Before we do start, however, I must tell you one thing. If you love Second Empire, don't watch this. This is purely created for those people who see what they believe are errors. I'm not saying that they aren't errors, but I have noticed these as well. Not that they don't ruin the experience from me, but I'm sure some people would like this to be notified. So I'm doing it purely for their benefit, not to ruin it for anyone. Just so the people who find the errors actually have something for them. So we're going to start right now.
Attention, Squadron 4 to escort duty immediately.
Okay, we are 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, and I've realised something. Why is the Dalek, who is not in one of the hoverbouts, the green one, by the control panel, why is he so surprised to be hearing the intercom? He works there all the time. I'm pretty sure it'd just be another day in the site for him to be hearing over the intercom the hoverbout squadron has been assigned, instead of looking all completely confused by what is going on. So, 1.
I will proceed directly to the Central Laboratory, General. I need to pick up some special materials for my research, as well as supervising the transfer of our cargo to the ship.
Okay, we're 4 minutes in, and I've just noticed, Utrell has just said he's going to the Central Laboratory to pick up some things from his research, and also to see the cargo transferred to the ship. Why would they be keeping the cargo in the same place as these materials that that he needs for his research? It doesn't make sense for them to be in the same place, does it? And again, I reckon someone is going to go in and say, oh yes, but we learn that so-and-so happens and so-and-so happens. Yes, but for this, we're only using the knowledge we actually get from the previous and the current episode part. That being, this being episode 1, part 1, we can only use the knowledge that it gives us so far. And that only part that gives us knowledge is episode 1, part 1. We can only use the knowledge from that part.
General Zeno, the Emperor will receive you now. Your aides will remain here.
Five minutes in, and I've noticed that as soon as the sub-commander, I'm assuming it's sub-commander Kazurzes, sorry, I've only just learned how to spell that name, has just told General Zeno that his aides, that being Sub-Commander Grexnall and First Captain Onzolo, to wait outside. As soon as he says that, 2 of the Legionnaires, the Imperial Legionnaires, start to advance on them. What is that? Security protection just so they won't go in? In fact, why are they not going in at all? All it is, for all we know, that the General wants to talk to him. Why is he being so secretive? There should be at least a reason for why they're not allowed to go inside. I mean, what could it be?
I consider the Celestians a greater threat to Dalek expansions in that sector, more so than a race of barely sentient arboreal mollusks on a stinking swamp world like Lavinian 2.
What is the matter, Zeno? Afraid of getting mud on your fender?
Be quiet, Bjorn.
Okay, 6 minutes in. General Zeno has just said it was better to invade a planet with actual hostility towards Dalek operations then on another planet where the current life forms are just barely sentient. And then Supreme Dalek Brown goes and tries to tease him, trying to say, oh, don't want to get mud on your fenders. Well, you should be listening to Xenon, because that is actually quite a tactical move. You really should be dealing, well, there are either two ways of doing it. You get rid of the stupid ones, and then you advance on the more hostile ones to end with. Or you get rid of the clever ones in order to just have an easy job of subduing the stupid ones. Xenon has made a very clever move. By getting rid of the Seleptians, he will have made things a lot easier for himself and Dalek operations in that sector. So it would be much easier for him to invade Davidium 2.
The Seleptians were organizing an alliance to challenge our advance in that area, and were also encouraging rebellion on worlds already conquered. I felt that exterminating the Seleptians would discourage resistance and serve as an example of Dalek supremacy in that sector of the galaxy. I therefore committed the First Conquest Army to the task of laying waste to Selept 4 and exterminating the Seleptian race, every last man, woman and larval nymph.
6 minutes 40, and Xenon is still backing up his case. They were forming an alliance to actually attack the Daleks, a race that actually have, I don't know, maybe the possibility to. I have no idea. But anyway, it was a very smart move to go after the Seleptians and to try to, to exterminate every single one of them in order to stop the rebellion on other worlds, as well as dealing with a race that actually have quite a bit of hostility towards the Daleks. So they really shouldn't be this mad with him.
Such heavy losses that your own procreation labs were unable to replace them alone. As we speak, your chief science Dalek is collecting 800 dormant drone embryos from the Skaro Central Procreation Laboratory.
7:05 minutes in, and the Dalek, Supreme Dalek, I don't even remember his name, I've got it written down on a memo, but one of the Supreme Daleks has just said that the Chief Science Dalek, that being Neutrell, is supervising the transfer of 400 drones to Xenon's forces, after having heavy losses on trying to conquer Selept 4. Now, why would they be willing to do this? I know, they don't really like Xenon right now, so why would they be giving him 400 drones in order to back up his forces, after going against his orders, and, suffering heavy losses in the attempt? So there's no, I don't see why they would bother even sending replacement troops. They could just depose him, which I know they do. Well, assuming they do.
We were defeated as much by our own nature as by the enemy. We were not out-fought, we were out-thought. Genetic programming produces excellent warriors, but they lack initiative. I need my soldiers to be able to think as well as they fight.
Your soldiers, Xenon. They are my soldiers, even as you are. I do not require my soldiers to think. I require them to obey.
7 minutes 50. And the Golden Emperor is he's just confusing me, honestly. From what I've just seen, Xenon has just said that the soldiers are required to think as well as they fight, which of course is a good thing. I mean, if they fight superbly, surely they should be able to think just as superbly. And then the Emperor has just said that he doesn't need his soldiers to think, he requires them to obey. Blind obedience, fine. No, not fine. Because if all they can do is obey, how can they cope in such, it seems, a complicated society such as the Dalek Empire? I mean, it really doesn't make sense. Because, of course, they've got to have a certain degree of initiative. Just as Xenon said, of course the programming produces excellent soldiers, but they lack initiative, they lack experience, they lack instinct. And it's even said in Doctor Who Robots of Death they have an argument, and one of the miners is like, "Oh, they can get twice as much as we can get. We don't need to be in the control deck." But then the commander says they lack instinct. They can't do as well until they have instinct, initiative. They have that little notion.
Enough, Xeno, enough! I am your master. I am Emperor. You will obey me. You will obey. Obey!
Obey.
Obey?
I have made allowances for you, Xeno. You are a great warrior, but if you continue to challenge my authority, I will have to have you exterminated. Go now and do as you're instructed.
I obey.
8 minutes 50 in, and it doesn't really seem like an actual, well, it seems more like a telling off than any real, well, court case. All they've more or less done is said to Xenol, you've disobeyed me, and that was wrong, and in doing so you've made things worse. We're making up for it, and we're punishing you by saying no. We're not taking your side. Well, we would in an argument. If the one they're opposing, of course. So it's less really of a court case. There's no consequence really, other than go and do as you're told. Which is a bit petty even for the Daleks.
You should have exterminated him. Did you see his travel machine? Not a standard design, and not one that has ever been submitted to this council for approval. Xenol is dangerous.
9 minutes 40. And the Supreme Daleks are confiding in the Emperor. Now, you see, what doesn't make sense is why Brown is so entranced by this travel machine. He's saying, did you see his travel machine? Not one that we've ever submitted for approval, not standard at all. But then, you do forget, Brown. He has just lost a war. Well, not really a war, but a battle against the Seleptians. Perhaps, just perhaps, he might have destroyed, his travel machine might have even been destroyed, but Xeno survived. Therefore, they had to give him a travel machine, and that was one they just created. Perhaps it was just one of their test travel machines. They were going to submit it. Perhaps even Detroit was going to submit it. Right, that is the end of my, well, I don't know, it's kind of a review. I don't know what to call it. But anyway, thank you for watching this, if you have been watching, of course. I can't really say thank you if you haven't been watching. That doesn't make sense. Never mind. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've gathered as much as I have. Right now, I haven't even, it's actually quite silly of me, I haven't even asked for the approval of me being able to upload these this video to YouTube, because I've got to get permission from the uploader, which is Darkravenproductions. I recommend you actually watch the full episode of Second Empire, as it is really rather good. That's why I'm doing a review of it, because I love it so much. Which I don't know, that makes my motives rather complicated. Anyway, I love Second Empire. I recommend you go and watch it. I will leave a link to the original episode in the description below. Thank you for watching this, and I will see you in another video. So, bye for now.